these words, this situation about words, there's lots of words, the mandals, waparazzi, as we said, all sorts of things. Now, they're in this new book. This is the like language report for real.
Like?
Now, you see, if you're sort of streetwise like me, Ruth, you see, the book would normally call like the language report. But it's because, like, today's folks speak like the like for real, all that.
That's very good.
The Queen of Countdown's Dictionary Corner. We're in the presence of Her Royal Highness Suzy Dent, here to bring us up to date with all the latest slang. I worry about the world today, Suzy, I do, because it's a text language world, isn't it?
Eamon's older kids text us, we can't understand them. We're passing going, what's
I have to get a translator.
It's incredibly clever language, and people do worry about it. But if you think about printing, or even when telegrams came in, a lot of people were up in arms about that because, of course, you had to abbreviate words then. I think as long as it's used in the right context, it's fine. But if it starts, if you start to get lazy and just abbreviate for the sake of it, and nobody understands, and obviously that's bad English.
So you've been looking at all the words that are filtrating into the English language.
Yes.
Well, how do you find out? Do you kind of sit on buses earwigging people's conversations?
I do eavesdrop. Ladies' loos are brilliant for eavesdropping. I've discovered. I do eavesdrop, and I have to read loads, obviously. And the publisher at Oxford has a fantastic database, and you'll find chat.
And then you see TV programmes like the Catherine Tate show.
Yeah.
Like that,
exactly.
she has to be in there with words like bothered.
Bothered.
Yeah.
Actually, she was. Yeah, she gave me a quote when I said I was going to put this in. She said, "Great, but I'm not bothered." But that for me was. I know lots of people say, "Oh, that's ridiculous." And chav, for example, was the word from 2 years ago, the word of the year.
Let's just actually, before you go on, I'm sure, unless you've been living on another planet, I'm sure you do know where bothered has come from. But let's just remind ourselves because it's so good.
In what context?
It's great.
No, my face bothered though. Well, but is it bothered though? Do I look bothered? Do you think I'm bothered? Ask me if I'm bothered. Ask me if I'm bothered. Ask me if I'm bothered. Are you bothered? No, I ain't even bothered. Are you serious? Face, look, face, bothered, look, face, bothered, look, face, bothered, face, bothered, look, face, bothered, look, face, bothered, naughty, face, bothered, what? Face, bothered, I ain't bothered!
How could you choreograph that?
It's so fantastic. If you're bothered, Catherine Tate's with us on Thursday.
Is she?
Yeah,
did she create that word? Did she nick that from somewhere else?
Well, no, we had bother boys, didn't we? And bother boots, bother girls. So it has its history there, but it's definitely her catchphrase. And catchphrases do come into the language. It's
but
one of the
meaning
biggest
something completely
things.
different as well. Bothered boys and bothered. It's a nice way, the way she uses it. Bothered boys.
It's still
very
kind of
threatening.
rebellion, I suppose, isn't it? It means not bothered.
What about some of your favourites?
Let's
My
jump
favourite.
the couch.
Yeah, jumping the couch.
Is
Has
brilliant.
that got sexual connotations?
No, sadly not. No. Do you remember Tom Cruise?
Well,
We're back to conceiving our son again.
stop it. There's no need for that. Jumping the couch.
Jumping the Couch was Tom Cruise on Oprah Winfrey's chat show. Do you remember? He just started to be... there you go.
He was crazy.
I would
He was
call
crazy
that
to killing his
pillocking.
love.
I mean, that's
OK, well, that will be the new
stupid,
verb.
isn't it?
That follows on, there was a great one, Jumping the Shark, when a programme begins to go downhill from an episode of The Fonz.
We know that feeling.
I
but
do
yeah.
love this word he-tox, because I do want Ruth to be totally aware of the exact definition of he-tox.
Well, you can give up men altogether as well as the one that's just
a jolly
dumps you.
fine idea.
Exactly. And brilliant example of how we play around with words, really. Lots of blends out there. Waparazzi is another one. We have the Renaissance coming, which is the return of the sort of he-man. We had retrosexuals, didn't we? And machosexuals and metrosexuals. Yes. That's another one. And one I heard this morning I quite like is ghost riding the whip. So been around in America again. It's looking quite excited about this one. It's not actually. It's a new thing on the west coast of America where teens, particularly black teens, they crank their stereo up to 11, they put their car into drive because it's automatic, and they dance on the bonnet
and it's
or the hood. It's called ghost riding the whip because whips are cars.
So you know, like that Pimp Your Ride, when you're watching Pimp Your Ride now, you say, well, I'm
I
ghosting
thought
the whip.
my kids had taped Pimp Your Ride and I thought it was a porn programme. They were nearly going to be into trouble. What about a bit of elbow bumping?
Elbow bumping, I just think is ridiculous. This is the healthy form of kissing, really. In the wake of avian flu, etc., you just bump someone's elbow to say hi.
Could you show me that? So you do what?
Just a...
So instead of going, good night, darling, you go, night.
Oh, say hit your
I think it's
finger.
strangers. I think it's a kind of,
Instead of doing a bit of air kissing. Showbiz air kissing, we could do a bit of elbow bumping.
Advocated by some health
Now,
organisations.
words that you hate this year, see, because, often when you hear politicians on the television, business people, all this culture of Alan Sugar and Donald Trump, you've been fired and all that business, does that make it into the language?
It does. I mean, Alan Sugar, brilliant example of being direct, so actually not resorting to business jargon at all, and was very funny and obviously used words that I can't use here. But business jargon itself, it's a slang, it's sort of a code and can be incredibly annoying.
Yes.
Things I hate, for example, is people talk in this country about band-aiding a problem or solutioning a problem. And a big thing in politics this year was the tipping point. We kept hearing about the tipping point. And again,
TV now, the big in phrase in TV now is 360 programming.
360?
360 programming, that's what it's about.
Okay.
It's multimedia, radio, television, bit on the web, 360 degrees.
Fine.
Do you have to do that when you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your take on 360
And there's
programming?
lots of kind of office words that have kind of, haven't they? Offish.
It's called offish. Yes, again, it's
chair,
a jargon.
was it the chair
plug?
plug?
Is one of my favourites. Somebody who's at a meeting, contributes absolutely nothing, is a chair plug. And somebody who spends too long looking at their screen is looking at their square-headed girlfriend, for example.
Well, that is funny. That says a lot.
Yeah,
now, Suzy, in your, I mean, not that we're looking for any inside info or anything, but in your position, your privileged position countdown,
Yeah.
I saw on the bookies odds when I was checking my own at this stage.
You were quite high, weren't you?
Well, your odds are good to take over on countdown.
Mine?
Yeah.
132. I think I was on par with Chris Evans, which I was very pleased with.
You would be.
Way down.
You would be.
No,
What do you think about names? I mean, you're in a position. I mean, what have you heard? What have you heard? Des O'Connor?
I'm going to be so boring
Yes.
when I say this, Eamon, and I think I've said this to you before. But it's such a family show that I can't imagine anyone else doing it. And until they're actually sitting in their chair, it's obviously the same when
Yes.
Richard died. I just can't, you know, people say to me, well, you know, what about this person, what about that person? I just can't imagine it. And I think until they start doing it, it'll be very difficult to know. I do know no one's been chosen. So many people are interested, and that's just fantastic. And it's a real testament to the show.
It's a big responsibility for the people that have to make the decision. And of course, an honour to be welcomed in by the Countdown audience and the Countdown family.
And you yourself saying it's a very, very close-knit community.
How many years has that been running then?
25. We've got a 25th birthday next year.
25
Yeah,
years.
amazing. And a lot of the people who work in it have been there that long.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Who are all watching you this morning, I'm sure. So good morning to you all. Suzy, thank you very
thank
much.
you for having
The
me.
Language Report by Suzy
Terrible
Dent.
picture. Terrible.
Great Christmas.
Is that a work of reference or is it a stocking filler? I mean, is it an
No, I wouldn't say
official
it's a work of reference. It's a Lou Reed, really. It's
A
kind
Lou
of
Reed.
dick in.
I'll take that home.
That's
now.
another one, Lou Reed.
Yeah.
We'll find
Yeah.
that in there. I thought he was a
Reed.
singer. Here's what I know. If you now fancy being £7,000 richer, well,